Hi everyone, I'm really excited today to have Rene joining us for episode 7, where we're going to be touching on updates in Brazil. We're going to share some great information about what's going on in Brazil, how they're dealing with the coronavirus, impact to the Brazilian immigration system, and also Rene is going to be sharing some top tips with us. So thank you for watching. I'm going to let Rene introduce himself. And Rene, if you could just give us a quick overview of what's going on in Brazil in terms of whether there's a lockdown, how severe the lockdown is, how people are feeling in Brazil.
Yeah, thank you very much for this invitation, Arvinder. I would like to tell you that nowadays, what is important to tell to everybody is about the temporary restrictions to enter in Brazil. It was decided yesterday to extend this restriction for more 30 days. So regular employees that would like to come to Brazil to have a business, or even the people who pick up their visas but would like to enter in Brazil, will not be possible. Only the foreign nationals who have ID cards that we call CRNM document will be able to enter in Brazil, or foreign nationals who is married with Brazilian citizen, etc. So normally Brazil is a very beautiful country to visit, but nowadays, unfortunately, is not a good moment. We hope that in the next months it will be better.
Right.
It's important to mention too that it's possible to file the work visa applications in Brazil. The Ministry of Labor.
Before we get into that, I think we were talking just before about the overview of the immigration system. Would you be able to maybe spend a couple of minutes just going through the three main branches of the Brazilian immigration system? So I think this gives really good
context. Yes, this is important to tell you. In Brazilian immigration system, we have three Brazilian bodies that are very important. First of all is the federal police, that is responsible for the registration of the federal nationals, where you can obtain the Brazilian ID card. You know, the Brazilian ID card is very important because you can only receive a salary in Brazil, for example, if you have a Brazilian ID card. And the federal police is also important to extend the current business tourist visas. Nowadays in Brazil, as the federal police is not working, it's not possible to make this kind of a registration. So even the individual is in Brazil with the valid visa, it's not possible to go there and make this registration. And it's not possible to extend the business and tourist visa. On the other hand, it's not let's say, a big problem at all, because this problem with the extent of the expiration of the visa is suspended. So even if the visa of the individual will expire in the next weeks, the foreign national will not have any kind of a problem, because this kind of expiration is suspended. The individual will continue in Brazil legal, and he will not receive any kind of penalty or fine.
And how long will they be able to continue to extend that stay? Is it until they receive official notice from the federal police that they're reopening their operations?
Yeah, until we open the operations, until the federal police provide us a new decision about this. In the last Friday, I contacted the people from the federal police, and they told us that it will only return to the normal situation when they receive from Brasilia, our capital, a new decision about this. So the foreign nationals who are in Brazil right now do not have to worry about the expiration of the current visas. Unfortunately, I think it's a problem that they cannot obtain their ID card, because in Brazilian labor system is very difficult to receive a salary if you have an ID card. But in an exceptional situation that we have, I believe that we have to find a creative solution for everything. So nowadays it's not possible to solve this problem, but we hope that when the situation returns to the normal, we will be able to make this registration too. We have the federal police. We also have the Ministry of Justice Labor Division. that is responsible to receive the work visa applications. The Ministry of Justice Labor Division is working normally. We can file the work visa application. If we have any kind of problem in the documents, the Ministry of Justice send us a kind of extra requirement, requesting us observation about the document, if we have to send other documents, etc. But they are not approving the visas. They keep the visas there and say that they could not approve the visas right now, because if they do this, it will be a big problem to the Brazilian consulate and to the federal police grant these work visas, considering that the federal police is not working and the Brazilian consulates around the world are not working too. The Brazilian consulates are only working for emergency situations.
So if you're an employer right now, it may still be a good idea if you're looking to hire individuals in Brazil to still get that work permit filed, have it waiting, and then once the federal police and the consulates and embassies reopen, then it's just a matter of process of obtaining the actual visa itself, but the groundwork's already done.
Yes, it's a very good solution. It is our recommendation for our clients. If you'd like to hire foreign nationals, please do this right now. Send the work visa application, because it will be important to have the protocol of the work visa application with the foreign nationals, because using this protocol, legally the person is okay to stay in Brazil. And after this problem with the coronavirus, we could register this individual in the federal police and return to a normal life.
The third branch, the
third is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, represented by the Brazilian consulates and Brazilian embassies. But as I told you before, they are not granted the work visas right now, because they are now very worried to help the Brazilians that are abroad Brazil.
Okay, so they're busy making sure anyone outside of Brazil is able to get repatriated back into Brazil. So let's move into some of the work permit expirations. So we've dealt with individuals trying to come into Brazil. We know that there's limited situations in which you can come into Brazil. If you're a tourist or a visitor in Brazil, we know there's automatic extensions. If you've got a work permit in Brazil, how do you handle expiration dates that are coming up?
If you are in Brazil with the valid work visa and the expiration will happen in the next weeks, we recommend to file the extension in the Ministry of Justice Labor Division, because with this extension protocol that we file, then the individual will be legal and will be able to continue to work in the country.
And how far in advance can you file an extension request with the ministry?
We need just electronic documents from the Brazilian company sponsor for the visa and for the individual. Some documents, like, for example, current non-criminal records, maybe could be a problem considering what we are facing right now because of the problem. But we could send this document later to the Brazilian authorities. What is important is to file the application to keep the individual with work visa valid and able to continue to work in the country.
But in terms of the timing, can you, in the US, for most work permits, you can file up to 6 months in advance of their expiration. What is that timeline in Brazil? Can you do it 6 months? Is it 30 days?
It depends on the kind of the visa. For example, if you have a technical visa is when the individual does not have a labor agreement in Brazil. The foreign nationals continue to have a salary abroad Brazil. And it's a kind of visa that we inform to the Brazilian authorities that individuals will provide technical service. In this kind of visa, I recommend to file the application 90 days before of the expiration.
Okay.
But when we talk about the work visa under employment agreement, is the long-term visa that we have that normally is valid for 2 years, I recommend to file this 6 months before.
Okay.
But we can file this one day before the expiration. It's not a problem at all.
Yeah. And whilst a case is pending for an extension, whilst you're waiting for the decision, you have continued work authorization?
Yes, you can.
Okay, fantastic. Now let's talk about amendments. If there are changes to an individual's work hours, if there's less hours, reduced salary, is there any obligation to report those to any of the authorities?
Yes, when we file this extension, you have to include all these amendments in these new work visa applications that will be analyzed by this Ministry of Justice Labor Division. But I could tell you that this is not a difficult procedure, because in Brazil, according to our constitution, it's not possible to reduce the salary. So if we send a new work visa application or extension, if you do not reduce the salary, it will not be a problem. You just need to inform to the Brazilian authorities why you must keep this individual in Brazil, why he or she is important to the company.
Okay.
I think it's a good information is that when we have a visa valid for 2 years that we call a residence, a work residence, after 2 years we can extend for a period that the person will receive like a permanent visa after 2 years in Brazil.
Brilliant. Now, so we've dealt with extensions, amendments. Now let's talk about the saddest part of all this, which is terminations. If a foreign worker in Brazil finds themselves terminated, what are their options? Do they have a grace period in which they can apply for a new job, or can they switch to a visitor visa? And if so, how long do they have to make that decision?
According to the new immigration law in Brazil, if you are working in Brazil and the sponsor company fire you, you could go to the federal police and request an additional 60 days to find a new job or to find out other reasons to stay in Brazil. It's not necessary just to work. Let's say that you decide, for example, to invest in a company and become an investor, or would like to buy an apartment. If you, for example, buy an apartment in an amount about 1 million Brazilian reais, you can receive a visa just because you buy an apartment. Okay. So you have 60 days, 60, and additional 60 days in the total 120 days to find a solutions to stay legal in the country.
Let's move into some top tips. What would you be recommending to HR, mobility, and global immigration folks to focus on during this period?
According to my experience, I think that we have to focus to show to our clients that we are available to help them. I think that is very, very important. We continue to serve them because we notice in our practical days that they try to see if you are here, if we are available to help them, because they would like to be updated about everything that's happened. Only this morning in Brazil, I believe I received 5, 6 calls requesting me if the federal police start to work again. I believe that they are almost sure that the federal police is not working at all, but they would like to hear from us about this.
It eases a lot of individuals' minds just to speak with a lawyer who's well versed and can let them know exactly what's going on. And I think it's really important to, instead of getting lost on the internet, going through a wormhole of a lot of information, just go directly to the source, have a conversation, put your mind at rest, and move on.
Exactly. And I recommend a lot of patience, because we imagine with this period of time that these Brazilian authorities are stopped, when they return and Brazil is not so organized like other countries, I imagine the big problems that we are faced to, for example, re-registering individuals in the federal police, to be able to pick up the visa in the Brazilian consulate, it would not be easy. So a lot of patience will be very, very necessary.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And we were talking as well, I mean, the impacts to immigration may be very, very far-reaching as well. Certainly, it's going to impact people's trust in traveling as much. It used to be the case that you jump on a flight to anywhere without thinking twice about it. Now, I think companies and individuals themselves will be a little bit more hesitant. There may be changes at embassies and consulates abroad. There may be medical requirements that come into effect. So it will be certainly an interesting next few months.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Rene, for joining us today. You shared some really key information about what's going on in Brazil. It seems as though you've still got quite a long road ahead, like many other countries have. Hopefully, the federal police open up, but it looks like at least you can extend your status in Brazil whilst you're there. So thank you so much for sharing with us today. If anyone does have questions about Brazilian immigration, what's the best way to contact you?
They can contact me in my email is Rene, R-E-N-E .Ramos @endoc.com.
Fantastic. And MDOC has offices all across Brazil as well. So if anyone has questions at any geographically anywhere in Brazil, they'll be able to contact a great attorney that's going to be able to help them, guide them the right way.
Yes, although our main office is in São Paulo, we can attend the foreign nationals in any city of Brazil. It's not a problem at all.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining. To all the viewers, thank you for watching. Please share any comments if you have questions. Please like it, and please share the content as well. But otherwise, thank you and stay safe.
Thank you very much.